I've camped in some incredible locations in Colorado and Utah, on the edge of Canyonlands National Park, looking down into the valley. And this spot, nestled between the two highest peaks in Colorado, Mount Elbert and Mount Massive. Both these spots had amazing views, we had them all to ourselves, and best of all, they were 100% free. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find beautiful, secluded, and free campsites yourself. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you step by step how I found that spot overlooking the Canyonlands. Generally, you have three options. You can camp on federal or state land in a formal campground. You can disperse camp on public land, or there's private campgrounds. They each have pros and cons. I'm going to focus on camping on public land, either in a formal campsite or dispersed camping, also known as boondocking. The pros of a formal campground are the facilities and amenities. You're typically going to get your designated spot. It's going to have a fire ring, maybe a picnic table, a vault toilet somewhere on the site, trash bin, and possibly even water. Now for the cons of a formal campground, number one to me is the other people. I prefer solitude when I am out camping. You know, when you're trying to get sleep, you know, people are being loud. When you want to stay up and be loud, you got to be quiet because other people are trying to sleep. You know, are they going to watch their dogs? Are they going to watch their kids? And it ends up just being a big headache in my opinion. Also, is that there's a limited number of spaces at the campground. If you have one that takes reservations, that's nice, but you really have to be on the ball. You know, make your reservations far out in advance if you want to get, you know, a popular weekend. Or if it doesn't take reservations, you're kind of just driving up there and hopefully there will be a spot available for you. You also have to pay a fee, and that could vary depending on the size of the lot, how many vehicles are allowed, and what amenities are provided. If you want to camp for free, you'll have to disperse camp. The pros of dispersed camping are that it's free. You'll be able to find beautiful places that you'll have all to yourself, no crowds or camp host, and you're not restricted to a limited number of spots. There are cons to dispersed camping. There are no facilities, so you're gonna have to be okay with pooping outside. You have to pack out everything that you pack in, and you can go pretty remote, so there might not be people around if you need assistance. There are rules for dispersed camping, and they vary by area, so you want to check before you go. Generally, you want to use a pre-existing campsite so that we limit our impact on the environment, and they're pretty easy to recognize. Let's typically see tracks where vehicles are coming in and coming out. It'll be a nice flat piece of land and some kind of rock fire ring, but there's always exceptions. When I was looking into the Black Hills National Forest, there wasn't a requirement to use a pre-existing spot. I still did, but I think that's because they don't have the same volume that, you know, California or Colorado will get. I was seeing spots that were already starting to be overgrown and retaken by the natural grasses. The best resource to find the specific rules for the area you want to visit is a local national forest or BLM website. This is the website for a section of the National Forest here in Colorado. It goes over the rules. Make sure you're camping in designated sites only. Know before you go. It talks about road closures, the leave no trace principles. Make sure you're actually camping on public land because there are private lots in the National Forest. Don't stay too long. Generally, you can camp for 14 days in a 30-day period, and the rules related to campfires. There may even be maps. I'm at the website for the Black Hills National Forest. Talks about the rules for dispersed camping, and over here it says motor vehicle use map. Click there. Scroll down. And we see here you can get a printable, downloadable map for the different areas of the National Forest in the Wyoming, South Dakota area. If you want the area around Mount Rushmore, you click here. You go over to the map legend, and it's saying that you can disperse camp on any road where you have these little dots. So if you're interested in dispersed camping close to Mount Rushmore, for example, we'll go down here and find Mount Rushmore. Okay, here is Mount Rushmore, and we see all the forest roads that are in the area, and all the rows that have these little dots are places that you want to check out if you are interested in dispersed camping in that area. On this channel, I share a variety of outdoor content, hiking, camping, off-roading, and the camera gear I use. If this video is helpful, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. It helps support the channel. Once you pick the general area you want to go to and you check what the dispersed camping rules are, now how do you find those great spots? And for me, I start with trail guides. And if you're old school, it could be a book like this. This is the Fun Tracks Trail Guide for Colorado for all-wheel drive vehicles. And you don't need to be into off-roading to get a lot of benefits out of trail guides, because they have roads that are all different skill levels, from easy, which are basically just compact roads any vehicle can do, to extremely difficult trails that you need, like a buggy or some crazy rig. But these trails cover vast amounts of area and are good, just for anybody. I myself, I prefer to use an online sources, and my favorite one being trailsoffroad.com, and I'll show you how I use it. I'm on Trails Off-Road, and I'm looking at all the trails in Colorado. It says they have 605 total trail guides. So I will go in here, explore the map. And when you're looking through the map, it shows how many trails are in the given area. It says, the trail difficulty. And let's say I am wanting to see some trails around Gunnison. So I click in there, and that gives me Crested Butte. And I click on this route here. This is Kebler Pass, very popular place to go, especially if you're going to see the fall leaf change. We're going to learn more about that trail. So I have photos of what the trail is like. I have numerous waypoints that it shows me. It says this is an easy trail. Any vehicle can do it. Lets me know if there's trail seasonal closures, the distance of the trail, and about how long it takes to ride along the road. And if I go down here, it has information about camping. 27 waypoints letting you know what's available. If I want to know about camping, I click here. It says dispersed camping is allowed at designated campsites, and provides some useful information. And there's even input from people that have been on the trail recently. I'm back here at the map, and let's say you don't have a particular area that you're looking for. You want a particular kind of feature. Let's say you like to camp on the water, lakes and streams. You can filter. You can say, I want a trail that's by the water, and it reduces it down here to good spots. And you say, well, I don't have a crazy built rig, so I don't want to end up on anything too difficult. So I want it to be an easy to moderate trail, and there it's giving you, some options. So we'll see what it gives us over here. This is by Glenwood Springs. And we see here that this is a lake. This is an area I've been to. This is the Heart Lake area. Beautiful, beautiful area with an amazing, little campsites. I found one that was incredible on this little pond right off of Heart Lake. I'll leave a link to that video so you can see it here. But I'm going to zoom in. So Heart Lake, the trails that are around Heart Lake. This area is beautiful, very accessible to people with different types of vehicles. It gives you some great options if you're looking for something in the water. So you can mess around for whatever settings you like. I want to share a quick pro tip with you. The lower the difficulty of the trail, the more people will be there. I try to shoot for trails that are moderate, that really keeps the crowds down. Last Labor Day weekend, I planned a trip out to Crested Butte. Now Crested Butte is a beautiful area. There's a lot of trails to explore, but they're all easy, which means that there's going to be a lot of people out there, and I was right. We drove around for several hours around the Crested Butte area, couldn't find a single spot. We ended up having to drive about 30 minutes outside of Crested Butte, closer to Gunnison, and found a nice spot on some public land out there. Trail guides are great, but they don't provide information about everything in the area. I also like to use Gaia maps to get a better understanding of the area and to plan my trip. So here I am in Gaia Maps on the browser. I also have it downloaded on my phone, and I will designate the area I'm interested in and download it, so just in case I do get disoriented, I actually have a map of the area on my phone. And this is in Moab, when I was out there a few months ago and did a trip for Onion Creek and Top of the World. So I see in here, you can see where the campground is for Onion Creek, and it shows the trail, you know, it identifies where Stinky Springs is, and you can see the connecting trails in the area. Up here, this color area is the section of the map that I downloaded for Top of the World. So you connect with Top of the World around here, and ultimately it takes you around there. And when I'm planning my trips, I will set markers and waypoints. If you want to set a waypoint, you click over here. You have the different icons. So if you're planning the trip and you think you might have a potentially good campsite, you can mark it. What I will do is when I am actually out there on the trail, if I see a nice campsite, I will mark it there, so that way I'll have it for my reference if I decide to go back. So it tells you the coordinates, and you can kind of create and plan your own trip based on what you're looking for. So it's another great resource that I use when I'm trying to find these spots, and when I do find them, to make sure I remember where it was, what I saw, and what I liked about it. Another resource I use is Google Earth. The ability to zoom in and kind of move around in 3D gives you a better idea of what the area is like and what the view is like. I'll show you an example of that now. I was planning a trip to Moab, and I wanted a particular view of the gooseneck. So I was zooming in and had a general idea of where I wanted to be, but I didn't know exactly where I wanted to camp or what was available. So I wanted the view of the Colorado River, and here's the gooseneck here. Dead Horse State Park is over here. The scene where Thelma and Louise drove off the cliff is somewhere over here, and I wanted to get a view from here. And so over here, this is outside of Canyonlands. So I zoomed in, and you can tell there's like a road that goes here. And I was like, well, okay, you can see there's a road. It follows this trail here and ultimately ends up at an overlook. And you can see that the road here and the road has a little turnaround before it heads back out. So that's a good indication that's a good spot. And zoom in even more here. And once you start looking at these things, you get a better indication of what's around. And I could tell that this is kind of like some kind of shade or overhang where people can, possibly a bathroom or some tables. I was like, okay, that has a good possibility. And then you go up, you change your view of what is you're gonna see. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a good view. So from this spot, yeah, you're looking down on the Colorado River. There's the gooseneck here. You can see what else is around. Here is actually the White Rim Trail in Canyonlands. You're like, okay, well, this spot looks good. And then I went and kind of researched, at the BLM for Moab, and actually found this particular road, found out about it, and yes, I was right. This road does come out to a place where you can disperse camp, and has a vault toilet out there. And most of the trail is easy. There is one point where you would need a vehicle that has some clearance in four-wheel drive, but I was able to get out there, and it was an amazing spot. I'll share some drone footage I took from that location. Of course, I also Google and use YouTube, but I found that if you want to find the less popular places, that's not the greatest resource, because they oftentimes want to push you the same exact stuff over and over again, the most popular places. If you want to find places that aren't as popular, you're going to have to do a lot of the legwork yourself. I was born and raised in Colorado, and to be perfectly honest, when I was growing up, I didn't really appreciate it. The mountains were just kind of always there, but as I got older and started to see different parts of the country, I really started to realize how special Colorado is. Not just Colorado, just the whole western part of the country. We have 540 million acres of public land that's available to us to enjoy. And for me, I like to use it as an escape from the crowds and from life, a place where I can find balance, and it's something that really needs to be protected and is special. The Landmark Project clothing company sent me this tee. It's a company that realizes the importance of finding balance in nature. Their graphic tees are made out of sustainable materials, and a portion of every purchase goes to supporting conservation efforts across the country. The shirt fits well, it's really comfortable. They also offer a national parks line. A few years ago, I went out to Olympic National Park and it blew my mind. I loved it, so I picked up this Olympic National Park hat that they offer. There's a link down in the description if you want to learn more about the Landmark Project. Now I'll walk you through how I found that campsite on the edge of Canyonlands National Park in Moab. I knew I wanted to stay close to Canyonlands, but I didn't want to deal with the crowds at the national park or trying to get a reservation at one of their campsites. So I was looking at the map of the area, and I'm in Trails Off-Road right now, and I was like, okay, well, this is Canyonlands over here. This is the Island in the Sky District. That's a very popular place where people enter the park and they get an overview. I'm like, okay, well, there is BLM all over here, all at the edge of the Canyonlands. So I knew I can get the same views, have the place most likely to myself, and not have to deal with the crowds, reservations, or paying. So I started to look for trails in this area. And I was out there a few years ago, and apparently there's been some changes, because the trail I actually took is this one right here, and it's not colored in as it was before. So I clicked over here to see what was going on with the Tyler Canyon Trail, and when I opened it up, it provides the latest information, and you know, it ends at waypoint 8. This Beehive Butte has some really cool campsites, and I was like, why did it end there? So I went down here and went all the way to the end. And it says that the trail ends there due to closures in 2023, which is disappointing. So you won't be able to go to the exact spot that I was at, but you know, that's how things go. What is open and what isn't open is changing, and you got to be able to adjust. So we'll see what else is in that same area that might give us, you know, a similar type of view. So I was looking around. I was like, okay, well, if we go over here, we can see there's some trails here that kind of go down to the edge of the canyon. There's a trail here that goes to the edge of the canyon, and you don't really know what's going on with closures. So the best thing you can do is go to the source and see what the BLM has. So here, I'm gonna zoom out and actually go back to this site here. Here, I went to the Moab field office for BLM, and I was like, okay. And here on the right hand side, they have there it is, Moab motorized recreation map. I was able to recognize the area, and I zoomed in to see that this area here is where the trail ends. You can see it's gone from the motorized access map here at BLM. I was like, okay, this here, there was a road, is closed off, But it looks like if you go over here, we do have a section of the road that's open that goes down to the edge of the canyon, and you're still looking down into the canyon here. White Rim is somewhere over here. So there's always there's always another option that's available to you. And of course, you want to make sure that there's no issue with dispersed camping, but there's always another option. So that goes to show it's important to always look for the most current information that's available to BLM. But you should still get an incredible view. And if you do want to verify what the view looks like there, you go into the Google Earth that I showed you earlier. You're able to zoom in, see if it's nice, see if it's something that's available to you, and it gives you an idea of where some dispersed campsites may be. And I'll go over here back to Trails Off Road and see what it says for this road, the Tyler Canyon Overlook. And so this is a scouted route. It typically does not going to have as much information that's available, but the person who put this route together provided pictures and camping, and see, it's another incredible view. So this would have been my plan B if I wanted to go back out there this year. It's like, okay, well, that option's not available. What else is around? And you can still find incredible places. I always plan out my trips to give myself the best chance of finding a great place, but you never really know until you get out there, especially if it's an area that doesn't have a lot of information about it. That's what it was like when I went out to the Black Hills, and I knew the main road I wanted to go on. I knew dispersed camping was allowed, and I knew that there was good spots there, but I didn't know where or exactly what they would look like. So drove out there, went along the road, started exploring the spurs that kind of go off, and found this incredible spot, and it was perfect. So you have to have a little bit of adventure spirit if you're going to disperse camp, as opposed to knowing exactly what you're going to get if you go to a formal campground. If you're willing to do a little bit of research, you can find incredible free spots just about anywhere. I hope this video has been helpful. If you want to see some of the best places I've been to in Colorado, check out this video.